Welcome to Hindisght Hacking. I'm Corey Carter.
And I'm Ron Cool, and you are listening to Hindisght Hacking, where we have talked to hundreds of entrepreneurs hacking their hindsight to give you clearer foresight.
And now, as we still bring you the same great, amazing interviews each and every week, we are adding bits and pieces to serve you in such a great way. These bits and pieces are some mindset hacks, visibility hacks, traffic hacks, and more on the daily hack. So we want to make sure that you have all the tools and all the resources that you need to gain more visibility and gain more traffic.
And obviously, to get more sales. So head over to gethhm.com/toolbox to grab your free resources to get the help you need to get more.
And if you're interested, after you collect all those freebies, because they're amazing, hit the link in the show notes and jump on our calendar because we definitely want to help you.
Guys, we absolutely love the community that we've created with your guys' help, and we love all the Hindisght hackers. So jump on in and get on our calendar.
So without further ado, what do you say? Let's get to it.
All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hindisght Hacking. And today's guest is someone that has been playing hard to get for the last month and a half, Mr. Andy Griffith. Now, he is the co-founder of Movement Formula. And what is that, you might ask? That is a place where coaches and creatives get empowered to thrive with an all-in-one online marketing suite. And, you know, Andy took what he learned, a lot of trial and error, 100+ hour weeks, thousands of dollars invested, and dumped it in with his co-founder all the way to the Movement Formula. So, Andy, thanks again for joining us. I'm super excited that we finally were able to make this happen, and super excited to talk with you.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. I was totally jamming out to that. I was just like grinding to the intro stuff, and I'm honored to be here. And yeah, sorry for the hard to get back and forth stuff, you know, with scheduling and life. So thanks for being patient with me. You know, thank you guys for having me and putting this all together. I'm very much appreciated.
Now we love it, and I know we were geeking out about Iron Man before we started. But before we get too far into stuff, why don't you take a moment to let the audience know a little bit more about you?
A little bit about me is, they're saying my headphones is rubbing. Let me pull that. Sorry about that. I get a little cool. No, is a little bit about me, my background. I actually come from the hospitality realm. I've spent 16 years in restaurants, all Asian food, actually. I spent 8 years in the kitchen, 8 years running them, and then transitioned into a business advisor role. And kind of that online ethos bug of online design and marketing took hold was when working for a family-owned restaurant, you know, you wear all hats and you start learning about building the website, doing all the things. It actually all started because our website to me was taken hostage, in my opinion. But you know, you flash forward and it's just falling in love with the art, because I think that is art when you go into online design and creating. There's an art to that, and that's lots of trial and error along the way. We've launched our own platform, and that's brought us here today with you guys.
All right. So yeah, that's a whole nother conversation that we could probably have for an hour, is about launching the platform itself. But I've always been intrigued. You know, you and I ended up in a 21-day challenge that Marley Jax was running, and,
Awesome
and
challenge.
you were like a strong supporter of everyone else that was in there. You were the strong voice that all of us newbies at the time were looking to. So much appreciated in there. But the Movement Formula, like, just tell us, like, where'd the name come from? What's the vision? What's the mission? And again, I know the online courses, helping the online coaches and creatives like thrive with the all-in-one, but yeah, just dig a little deeper for that.
Yeah, so Movement Formula, where that came from, actually, it was funny. I was actually at Funnel Hacking Live back when we used to do these things called events, right? And I think it was like 2 weeks later, everything shut down.
Yeah, exactly where it was. Yes.
Little did I know, that was the last plane ride for a while.
Right.
But I remember being there, and there was this moment in the award ceremony that they had, and I'm watching all these people get these awards, a lot of people having a lot of success in just a broad category of niches. But I also realized I didn't know who half of them were. Like, and these people are being like recognized, and they've made a big milestone. But I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm like, I don't know who half these. I just haven't heard the names, but I was just it almost seemed like there's some people that left because it was awards and not teach them. I'm like, this is a moment to recognize people are reaching milestones. And in my mind, I was like, if you don't know who you are, it was just like one of those epiphany moments. I'm like, I'm not saying that they didn't have movements, but I see in my mind, people aren't talking about building movements. And then the geek in me was, connecting to movement formula. So that's it, almost like that name was birthed between seeing that award ceremony. And I remember the plane ride home, just, taking down notes and stuff like that. And so that's where the initial idea for movement formula, at least the brand and the concept, came from. And then you kind of fast track, a little bit later into the year, around September, October-ish, is me and my partner, we started realizing when you go to build an online business, there's a lot of pieces you need to actually make it work. You're almost like digital duct taping, putting all the elements together. And so, which can be sometimes the barrier that holds people back from getting to where they're trying to go, because they're not necessarily the tech expert. They just have a mission or vision, and they're trying to figure out SMT providers and things like that. And so we were trying to figure out a way of how do we simplify that. And so what we did was we've white labeled some software and technologies and put things together and tried to do it in a very unique package. So it's not just like a sticker on a bottle. It's the same bottle. We try to make it special and exclusive to a certain niche and genre, and added our own little trainings and templates and some other goodies that you don't even get with that software to kind of make something unique and special to help online coaches. Because we feel like with all the chaos in the world and things like that, not to get politicized per se, but I think, you can make change in the world through the church on the local level, they say, right? But I think with coaches, you can make change in the world on a global level by empowering them to be the coach and not stuck in tech, overwhelm.
No, I love that. And I'm going to go back to your introduction a little bit, because all three of us come from that hospitality world. And we have found more and more and more people. We're in the hospitality world that are now in this online world. And I've never really asked this question. I don't even have the answer, but I should do it. But I'm going to ask you because you're the guest. And
all right. No pressure.
So, no pressure. Why do you think there's such a correlation to that field and this field? Because looking at it from the outside, like, I have a couple ideas now that I'm thinking about it, but looking from the outside, no one's going to go, hey, I used to be the director of operations for a restaurant chain, which I was, and I owned a couple of restaurants. I've decided I'm going to go into online marketing, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's like 180. But there's so many people from that industry or that field in this one. Have you run into that?
I was seeing on the first part of that question, why, and my initial guess when you're like, because as you're asking it, like you said, you're thinking, I'm like, my initial guess is I think coming from that field, you've got this service-oriented mindset.
Okay. Yeah.
You're used to a lot of moving parts and pieces.
Yep. That's right.
Solving problems.
Yep. Problem solving.
And then there's even that creativity, whether it's in the dishes or how you're executing just overall flow. And I think, you can almost connect a lot of those dots in online businesses. So, I mean, initially that'd be my maybe why that pulls them into there.
Yeah. I used to tell my wife, there's never a day that's the same. Mm-mm. And I think that correlates very well. But we'll watch MasterChef, that's our thing. And everyone in there is like a home chef and wants to own a restaurant and do this. So I'm like, you really don't want to do that. You think you want to do that, but when you do it, you're going to go, I wish I didn't do that. Just going to say
a lot of fires, not just in the kitchen.
All right. So being at Funnel Hacking Live, we were there, and yeah, it was one of those, life-changing events that literally, looking back at it, was more life-changing because that was the last time a lot of people did anything outside of that world, because things rapidly shut down after that. And what's some of the things now, looking at it today? Are you going to this year's Funnel Hacking Live?
I did the virtual.
You did the virtual.
Being that I did buy the ticket while I was there, so they put out thing where you could go, but
yeah,
then it's the virtual part, and I was like, I can get all the gold and
not go anywhere.
No, depending where I'm going to be, but you do miss out on the networking, So
yes.
there is. that's a big added piece that you're going to miss out on by not being at the live events.
Right. All right. So looking at that and looking at the next one, what do you think what changes do you think will happen to your business after this next event?
After the next Funnel Hacking Live, what I think changes will be?
Yeah.
I really think what'll be interesting to see is as they have experts and presentation stuff like that, I think the topic is going to be what changes were made over the last year. So I think, not knowing, because I don't know what all they're going to present, but I really feel, if I were to guess, a heavy topic is going to be operating in a new, more online conscious world. Because I think a lot of businesses weren't prepared, that probably had opportunities to be prepared, that all of a sudden had to make strong pivots, which obviously birthed some opportunities for individuals depending what they're doing. So I really think that the message, if I were to guess, you're going to see a lot of correlation to how people pivoted post-COVID and what they're doing, and that'll be the takeaways. And that's why I'll be there with my pen and paper, getting some takeaways to kind of mine the gold, right? I mean, success leaves clues.
So. Yeah, no, it's definitely pretty crazy how we all had to make adjustments, right? Some were ready for it, some weren't, and some businesses by this time now, this year, based on last year, I'm sure they're way different from where they were before. So definitely the pivot, I think, is a good example of something we will see and hear about. But let's move in a different direction a little bit. Again, I was talking about when we met, it was all about YouTube and getting comfortable on video and doing this stuff. And so what is your play now? Are you on YouTube all the time? Like, what's your visibility tactics that you're currently using and executing at a high level?
It's funny you brought that up, because we, like Marley Jack's challenge teaches a lot about how to use YouTube and grow. I mean, ton of value out of that. As we went to launch our platform, me and my partner were actually just having a meeting about this last night when we were talking. We built all of our infrastructure almost first and kind of put some of the social noise, I want to say, on pause, but we reduced it. And we were actually talking about, because we built like 5 different assets, depending, your value ladder and stuff, how people talk about building all of that. And we looking back now, we're like, we probably should have pivoted YouTube earlier. We've actually, that's like on our next 90-day goal, is like just doing less, but you can't do, what is it? I can do anything, I can't do everything, is pausing to say no to some other stuff and go like, we just really need to commit and go into that. And so we've got our gameplay that, for the next quarter, I mean, that's where we're going to be headed to make noise. Right now, it's just been, keeping the nurturing with our email list and sending them emails that aren't all like, buy my stuff. I usually like to encourage that it's a story and a parable that tells some message and value. And then of course you do have an option available, but it's not just like, hey, I have this thing, come buy it. So we've been doing that consistently, and then just getting our routines of putting social posts on, but social posts die, and we're like, we need to switch that same energy and effort to actually doing, the play of like turning your YouTube videos. I don't say this if people are listening going, oh my God, that's a lot of work or anything, like it's more of like, this is our plan, and we're going to be patient in the process and get good at it. Like anything new, you got to lift the weights to build the muscle, but is do the YouTube video to rip the audio to turn it to a podcast, and then rip the audio into a script to turn it to a blog post, and start, instead just posting posts about kind of things and little short stories, actually posting like, here's this asset we now have that's evergreen. Here's this asset we never have. So that's kind of the play you'll see starting into March, early April. You're gonna, if you guys watch, you'll start seeing the pivot. That's exactly where we're going.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's very similar to how we do our show. It's live, and then we break it up into up to 60 pieces of content that live for months, right? Like we have one guest who has shared our content since December.
Yeah, a guest sharing our content since December. Like it's so nice when the guests, we randomly see the guests share it. You're like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, but again, you're like, it's very guest centric and very, very much so focused on you and your expertise and helping you get your message out. That's kind of everything Corey and I do, is helping entrepreneurs get their message out, and that's the best way to do it. Plus, it's content for us at the same time, so it's a win-win-win all the way around for everybody.
That's good business. I mean, that right there, everybody's winning.
Right.
Our play though that's next on our to do is, right now this goes live on YouTube, but we haven't maximized that platform yet by adding the right thumbnails and the right keywords and all the tags and SEO. Like that's the next project that's on Ron's to-do list here in the next month or so. So definitely some work ahead for that one.
He just gave you the homework. That's
He always, I don't know. It's always like,
saying what we are doing, and then he's like, but Ron's doing it.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. But if you need to get a hold of me, you just call Corey. So it works out perfect.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. So you have kind of your plan, which I love the plan. I think people don't plan out their time enough, especially as an entrepreneur or a freelancer or whatever. When people are doing stuff, they just kind of do. Right. Exactly. And we're trying to be very intentional in this year for Corey and I. We're like, okay, we have different meetings that we make sure they're non-negotiables that we have. Nothing can hit those. That's where we talk KPIs. That's how we move the needle. Here's our quarterly plan. We're going to hit the stop gates to go up there. Was everybody in your organization like on board with that, or did you have to kind of talk people into it, or was it just a unsaid thing that everyone was like, yeah, we need to do that?
Good question. Yeah, it's really been interesting. We've actually been doing some coaching with Alex Sharfin's one of his services, and he talks a lot about that, reducing the noise and being more, operating with clarity and focus.
Yep.
And it's been beautiful to see, because we've been applying that. We joined his thing towards the end of December, and like literally like our last meeting when we were talking about, we're not into the next quarter yet, but we're kind of like starting to have those conversations, and we're listening. Here's some potential ideas we're thinking, and already seeing the ripple effect, like where they're like, no, we shouldn't do this. We should only do that. Like, because I think like you pointed out, us entrepreneurs, and guilty as charged here. I mean, sentence me. We're trying to do 10 things at once, but really what's like the 2 or 3 that's really going to pay off? And don't, if you have extra time, maybe you can do that, but like, that's what you commit to and follow that. And it's like, what was it? How I've been telling people, like sometimes like rate your weekly to-do list from 1 to 10, but you can't use a 7. You'll be amazed how many 6s are on that, 6s and belows.
I've never heard that.
Don't use a 7. Yeah, like it's like 1 to 10, right? But but you can't use a 7, and you'll start, because you'll notice you're trying to be nice with things and make them like, oh, it's a 7. But if you can't use it, you're like, it's not an 8. It's not an 8, and not even then though, depending how many's on your list, some 8s and 9s don't even get done that week, because you start seeing clarity of what's really important and critical. But as far as like tying that back to the team, we've done really beautifully about moving in the same direction. And I think as we get smarter with applying some of those processes, that's where we kind of realized we probably should have done the YouTube sooner, but we were so committed on creating a whole framework, because when you are starting a business, perfection's a myth. And if you try to get it all done, you'll never launch. Yeah.
Long. Here it is.
And so
I say it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And there was I was in a Sharpen Summit's going on this week, and some person talked about I liked how they put it. They said high standards are better than perfection. And I was like, oh, that's a good way. So if you can have high standards, that's better than your perfection. But is just being able to, we just created, betting on your future self, which I think all entrepreneurs like, learn to bet on yourself and just know where you're going and start selling the solution as you build out the framework. And we got in, I mean, that's how we started, and we kept building the framework. And I think we could have paused on some of the back end things and switched to YouTube, but you've already made commitments and you follow through on your commitments. But yeah, now going in, like literally the next quarter, it's all about just creating noise and awareness and green assets or evergreen assets where people find you. And so the team's we've done beautifully about just kind of seeing the same path and not being too overwhelmed with it, by understanding what's like the 2 or 3 things we're going to work on, and then we'll figure out the next after that.
Nice. All right. So you have, with the movement formula, a business partner on this. And so I'm always curious, right? Like Ron and I have our relationship and our way of doing things. And so I'm always curious as to those others that actually have someone to share the weight and the workload with. I know a lot of things wouldn't get done if I didn't have Ron helping me out, right? So tell us, what's that relationship with your partner, and like how do you guys kind of split the roles and responsibilities and make sure that everything keeps moving forward?
Good question. Yeah, no, it's I think it's beautiful when you find a partner that is better at things you aren't at, because then you can balance each other out. Because trying to do everything, and not that it can't be done, but it's going to be a more a slower marathon. You know, your race is only with yourself. But how I like our partnership works per se is, kind of more my role in the lead is really solidifying what is our strategic direction, understanding like with the words and the copy, and mapping out what's our processes, what's our flows, like just getting a very linear path of what all we're going to execute in what order and who's going to be doing what along the way. And then what my partner does amazingly, which I can never touch, is like she can take a page of words and make beautiful like ebooks and copies or like funnel pages, and like her artistic ability is just next level stuff. So how we work beautifully is like she doesn't have to worry about like what words should I say or what things should I do, and I don't have to worry about how do I make this look like pretty. And so we can just like hand off different things to each other in that aspect for content and asset creation. And as far as servicing wise, like on a platform with building funnels and things like that, well, she's really good at handling more of the questions and helping people with their actual design and elements. And I'm really good at helping them get clarity on what's their offer path going to be, so we can set up the automations correctly and kind of the wording on that. And so we just balance that's probably the two core pillars of how we balance things out. And we've got another person we've brought on who's helping us with kind of doing what we call the Conversation Architect, Miss Dawn. And she helps with the automations part, with like your notifications hitting your phone and your emails, and kind of create, because that's the Conversation Architect. You're creating, we're coming up with fun names for not just social media specialists,
Right.
but it creates conversations and stuff like that. And so she's really good at doing those things in the back end. So it's just, I think your partner and team is just finding what are the people's strengths are, and then finding out how you can utilize that to offset your noise, because my noise is different than my partner's noise and vice versa.
Right.
And then when we do like our huddles and talks, is having that open communication where it's like, can I assist you in any way? Is there anything you're needing help with that I'm unaware of? I think that most of the time the question's no, but sometimes something comes up and you're like, I can do that, or let me do that for you, just so we're not alone,
No, and I think you just described you as Corey, and I'm your partner for sure.
All right.
Except
Ron looks better in the dress. Yes,
I do look amazing in the dress. I try not to wear it that often, but I do look amazing. But I do love. I want to talk more about the Conversational Architect, because one, I like the name. I think that's cool.
Thank you.
Two, I think that's where we're kind of at in our business, trying to organize those automation pieces and really understanding. We just talked about this with someone else earlier today. Like I have this device in my hand,
right?
And if I get an email and if it's after hours, I feel obligated to freaking answer it, even though I don't need to. Right. And so Corey's really good at boundaries. This is where the thing is, if it's important, he'll answer it for sure. But like for me, it's like, it's there. I'm looking at it. I'll just answer it real quick, which then creates a whole plethora of other issues. Right. And then I have to talk to Corey, because usually it's something that Corey's working on. He's like, dude, like it's tomorrow. Like wait till tomorrow. I was like, no. It's a quick thing. And it's never a quick thing. You know that. But that's the piece that I want in our business. Like, what's a couple good like steps that we could take to implement something in that effect of a conversational architect?
So is it the question more for finding the person, or when
yes,
I'm trying to get clarity on that?
Because that is the hardest part. Like we've hired two. We have two VAs, which is awesome. But we're trying to hire some more people to support. But the onboarding piece and making sure everybody's on the same page, especially if they're not on the same time zone? Like, how does that work?
Well, we've been blessed. Our conversational architect was a friend of my partner, so we already had a warm relationship. But some background things that I think tied in to help is they came from an office role, and so things are very systematized, processed, things like that, SOPs and things. So as like on our end, where they're helping with scheduling our post for us online and scheduling, because right now, like the process where we have it is Andy gets to write like emails and put them in a Google Drive, or write social posts and put them in there, and then they get to help with actually getting it into the cloud, into the ether, and getting it online. But I found for us, I mean, we were blessed to have that warm relationship and already have a contact. But with their background, someone that comes from more of an office type administrative role, that enjoys that sort of a thing, that likes like systems and processes and things like that, that seemed to be a very natural fit for them to go, okay, well, so if, and what's been fun, I think too, when you're looking for the role is, and maybe in this more culture and team for us, at least how we operate, it's like giving them space to make mistakes, space to make input, or like, I was like, here's the idea and here's what we're thinking, here's how we're going to do it. But if you find a hole in this, or you think it's wrong, tell us. Or if you find a better way, let us know. Or if mistakes happen, which have and will, and all of us will do them, don't sweat it, laugh about it. I mean, not in a like, we don't care, but it's just more, it's that human element that I think it puts people where they can start to operate in a zone of genius instead of a zone of fear of like, oh my gosh, I messed up. Instead, it's like, oh yeah, that didn't work. Okay, we'll fix it next time. I mean, and that lowers that noise. And I think that's where you start to get the amazing out of individuals, no matter what the role is.
Love it. And so do you just have one person right now with Dawn, or do you have any other VAs, any other support?
We're just rocking with the three of us right now. Yeah.
That's three.
Now we have hired like a third party with some of our internal. We do have a priority support, which is going to get direct access to one of us as a different tiered service, quicker response time, more hands-on. But we do have, we've hired out a help desk for the platform itself within Funnels that does do a 24-hour ticket response time. We've outsourced to that. And then we do have another set of tools that helps with more social media automation type stuff. And we've got from Brandon Duff, and there's a help desk team with that we've hired as well to answer support tickets on that one as well. So that way, depending what the user's comfort level is, and business bandwidth, what level of support. So we want to make sure that there was support available no matter what. It's not just like go YouTube it. But right. If you want a faster response times, we've got those, or we have the standard, which you're still not going to be alone on an island.
Nice. So you're white labeling somebody else, or somebody else is white labeling you, or both?
No, white labeling two different softwares and combining them into a one package, and then hiring paid support through them. And then we also have a support level that will get direct access to us. The paid support through them, we're just including that. And it's one of those, it's one of those things like, it's like in business, it's expenses you don't necessarily have to do, but we think, and this might be the service thing from hospitality or something, like, I'm like, this should be in there. Like, we should have this.
It's so funny you say that, because like we have a course that there's two things we didn't want to do. One, we didn't want to get someone into something and then instantly pitch them into something else, because we hate that. Right. And then we didn't, like, if we tell you it's $1,000 and you get everything, because there's a lot of courses out there. It's $1,000. And then you realize, oh, I have to pay someone to do this because I don't know how to do that. That's $600. Oh, wait, I don't know how to do that either. So now you're committed because you spent $1,000. So now you have to decide, do I let the $1,000 go and not get my message out there? Or do I pay the other $1,600 to actually finish what I started? Right? So Corey and I, since we're the agency, we're like, oh, you know what? Why don't we just offer it all included for $1,000, and everything you get is everything. And that way, all you have to do as the entrepreneur is focus on getting your message out. So I love that you talked about relating it back to the hospitality business, because I think maybe that's why we related to that. We're like, it's so frustrating, because if you go to McDonald's and you get a meal, you don't walk away with the meal and go, gosh, I didn't get a Coke. I got to go back and get a Coke. right?
It'll be $4 more for your silverware. It'll be
everything you're supposed to have.
Because it's small print. You didn't see that on the bottom,
Yeah, so I think that is so unique. I think that's a good call out. And that's why it works so well in the service industry, right?
Yeah, and that's like with ours, because we white label one, and there's obviously other people can do that too, but we are including emails and text messages being sent at certain rates instead of saying, here's our thing and you can get it, but then you join and it's like, well, now you got to go buy your own email to connect to it. Now you got to buy your own text connect to it. We really made the decision that when we say it's an all-in-one, we're putting it all together.
Yep.
And so we've got up to 10,000 emails you can send, and if you're sending more than 10,000 emails a month, your business is probably doing okay. You can afford the 30 more bucks, You're probably, and the same thing with like text, we have a certain threshold depending on country, which we've learned as we've gotten international users. Text rates are different. It's like 4 times the cost in the UK. Didn't know that. Yeah, through Twilio, it's almost 4 times the price. Which it's a cool thing to learn, but it's
and they text before us. Right?
Do what?
So texting was a bigger thing in the UK than it was in the US, because when texting came out, I was involved in telecom, and I literally told someone, I said this because they were from the UK and they said everyone texts. I go, that's dumb. No one's going to text here, right? It's just never going to work.
And to date this, that was back when pagers were a thing. So
my two-way, rocking
right?
the two-way,
right?
But it's so funny that I assumed it would be cheaper because they actually started using it a lot more than we ever did here. Huh.
Yeah, it was interesting when we were doing the numbers. So that's just, but yeah, so kind of like that service provider is like, how do we make it as all in one as can be? And then they don't have to worry about connecting all of that stuff. We just need the domain pointed, which we can help, and then we'll take care of all the rest for you. I mean, that's.
So you've got softwares like one of my faves, ClickFunnels, right? That's $97 to $297 a month. Mm-hmm. You get an email provider like ConvertKit's $100 depending on your number of subscribers in the plan, and then texting and what else? Social media. You've got this all in one. One price.
Right. So so you get the funnels, unlimited of them. There's no only so many pages, unlimited domains if you want to put those. So there's no domain limits, unlimited membership areas and courses, booking calendars. That'll eliminate your, whether you're like Calendly or Acuity, booking calendars are in theirs as well. And then we've got the email marketing, text message marketing built into the system where you can send it from. And that's where you can literally, so for one dashboard, you can run all of these assets into one place instead of logging into 4 and 5 and hoping that they all talk right. And and the fun part, when it doesn't, which one's not doing it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then outside of that, we've got a social media, we call it our social CRM. It's by Brandon Duff and his crew. Awesome software, but it does some cool stuff where you can do auto greeting friends, birthday greeting. You can do group ascending, where when people want to join your group, it pulls their answers from your questions for you. Really neat thing is you can, and this is player, you can assign tags to people on their profiles, like lead, Dream 100, clients, partners. And then from the platform, you can bulk schedule messages to hit people based on tags. And so if you need to send an invite to all your clients or an invite to your leads or a message to that, you can schedule it and it'll just send it all out for you. So it really can batch your time like that, just spending a little time being organized, creating a CRM, fun techie terms, right? But a client relation management system.
Right.
But you spend a little time up front being organized. It's going to buy you tons of time on the back end when you're trying to get your messaging out there. And it does more than that. There's a lot more that it does to it, but that's probably I think the most popular features that people are probably aware of, would like to use, or are using in some other capacity.
I got it out. Do I just tag you, or how do I pay for that? I'm ready. How does that work? Right? Holy smokes! It's awesome that all of that's in a one-stop shop, right? Because that's a huge gap, and the time you're going to save trying to figure out which one of those don't work. I've been there, right? You're I don't know. This looks like it's working just fine. Where's it broken? right?
Right.
So, mad props.
Thank you. Yeah, it's at movementformula.com, $147 a month. I mean, and that includes the all this stuff you need. So you're not like then going to have to buy your email or then go and buy your calendar and then go and buy. And I mean, we don't talk a whole lot on the front end about the social CRM tool, which does the marketing, because that's kind of more surprise on the back end, right? Like,
right. That's the added value piece, huh?
And it's not like we're not like not talking about it. We're trying to, the main message is, you can build a funnel, membership, booking area. Like there's all these assets that you're going to need for your online business. And then by the way, you will have these things too. So it's just, trying to hit the right message in front of the right audience and not be just, a confused mind makes no decisions. So yes, gotta slow it down.
Perfect. All right, Andy, I'm going to shift gears. And, our show, we're all about helping our listeners have clear foresight through your hindsight. So if you could go back in time and give a little bit younger Andy some advice, what did you learn of the last, maybe it's the year, maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 5 years in this entrepreneurial game that has allowed you to get where you are and that maybe you wish you would have known sooner?
Okay. When you're going back years, I was wondering how many years back, because I could have a lot of advice depending.
I mean, you could go back 20 years if you really, really wanted to, but whatever's relevant to the question.
Yeah. For online entrepreneurs, let's see. If I knew, let's see. The advice I'd probably go back and give back is, we've mentioned it, we've touched on it in some of the things and throughout this session here is, betting on your future self, like having confidence to find the answers and figure that stuff out. Because if you try to wait for perfection, you're just slowing yourself down. And I think also too, before you dive in, if you'll spend a little bit more time being clear on what you're trying to do, I think that's going to save you a ton of time, energy, money, stress, instead of pivoting 3 or 4 times figuring it out. I think really like spend a little bit more time, like, how do I want to serve people? What is, they talk about, following your passions, but also what are you good at? Like, what do you enjoy doing that you thrive in, that people compliment you on? And is there a way that you can add that value to people? Because I promise, it's like, like it takes a village. What you're great at, others aren't. And is there a way that you can pivot that to actually serve them? And then you can start to move forward with confidence. And then for launch to speed. So with that, it's like betting on yourself. And this kind of ties what I'm going to say with launch to speed, really figuring out what you want to do, build a sales page and start selling it as you build out your frameworks on the back end, whether you want to call it early bird or discount or first three, if you want to frame it that or not, but like build it, like even on our platform, literally we built the sales page knowing where we were going to go, not knowing how everything necessarily worked, but knowing we would figure it out and start selling and start that, because a minute in the field is going to teach you an hour in the book. Like get out there and start doing the work, and I think that over time you will start to realize even more so what people are needing or wanting, because you're more fluid to pivot as you're building it versus like, I'm going to spend 6 months building something and hope it works,
So true. We've helped so many of our clients with that. It's like, just build something, sell it. The worst thing that can happen is you sell one. And I say the worst thing that it can happen, you sell one. Because if you sell none, no harm, no foul. You sell one, now you have to do it. Right. So the worst thing you can do is sell one and then you get some experience. But it's more about getting it out there as quick as possible. Everything's going to fall in line where it's supposed to go. And you're close enough to make the right decisions to help the people that you've brought into whatever it is that you're trying to do. So I think that's huge. And I know people that are listening are like, I want the all-in-one system.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and even in ours, like we knew, when you were on the online space, we knew how things worked fundamentally, but knowing all the ins and outs, you're still learning. And so you can literally, by following that framework, you can get paid to create instead of trying to create and get paid. And that's where like map it on paper, get a plan, what you want, what you think, the path is going to be and what you're going to deliver, and then make a page based on that. Like, I'm going to take you to here. but you don't need all the assets and all the steps ready yet. And then once you start selling, you can start building it as you go, and you can essentially get paid to create. Challenges are an awesome way to get paid to create courses. If you kind of think in the framework of, I can use a challenge that's live, and if I build it in the right way, that can become my course later that I resell in a members area.
Yep.
I mean,
all day.
Speaking of challenges, Andy, we almost missed one question that was super important. I see there's a movement maker challenge, and you got to share. Is this a daily live with you, or what's the 21-day movement maker challenge?
Thank you. Yeah, it's the movement maker challenge. What we really tried to do, like everything, how do you simplify, right? Because there's 1,000 things that can be on your to-do list, but what's the simplified thing you can do? And so what we figured out is, if you can follow 6 key frameworks or pillars, everything else tends to fall in line. And so what we did was we mapped out what are the 6 pillars that if you go through those, you're going to have a clear mission, vision, and understanding of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So you're not, like I said, you're not out in the ether taking 5 different courses at once, not finishing any of them, and just feeling lost and overwhelmed, and then rewatching stuff you already watched. Because that happens, right? I think everyone falls into that. I mean, the things I say, I'm guilty and victim.
We may be involved in
self-inflicted.
that particular thing as we speak right now.
Self-inflicted, man. I did it to myself. But really narrow down what are the 6 key pillars and elements to go through that. And so what we've done is we made it's a 21-day challenge where 4 days of training, 1 day of Q&A each week. And we walk through, and we really try to think, everyone's busy. Like you talk about the phone, as connected as we are on the phone, we're busier than ever because of it, right? It's like amazing and
awful at the same time.
Yeah. It's a gift and a curse, right? Most things tend to be that way sometimes.
Yeah.
And so what we try to do is keep it very simple. And what's like a 5-minute video, give or take, of like what to do, why to do, and how. No filler, no this, no like, hey, let's wait for more to join. No, hey, such and such, you join. It's like, here's the gold. We're spitting value. But then aside from that, we developed insider notes and takeaway and action guides from it. So not only do you watch the video, so if you're visual and audible, you can watch and listen, but kind of going in like people learn differently. We've got a workbook with it, which, I mean, I've got one printed because I'm sneaky like that. But I mean, we made this awesome workbook that, you get the file, you have to print it off yourself, but we made this awesome workbook where, not only are you getting like the insider notes from the video, like key takeaways from it, but then you're getting like work sections on how to apply what it is you're learning. So that way, if less than an hour a day, give or take, you can actually apply what you're learning to start getting results and to be in momentum, instead of 2 hours of training, 3 hours of homework, hope you get it done, you're behind after day 2. And, that's just not a fun place. So we really try to do it special of like, if you can do these 6 things, and we're going to break them down for you and understand why, what, and how. We're going to give you notes from it, action guides. And so every day you're going to daily win, but doing it in a manner that I like to say, instead of compounding interest, it's compounding knowledge. That the knowledge is building upon itself, that by the end, you've got massive clarity on what you need to do to actually make your impact in the world. And so that's at movementformula.com/challenge.
Just saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just gave out the challenge, URL. We'll make sure it's in the show notes. I know there's a ton of people that are jumping in, like, I want to be involved. I want to do this. I love the all-in-one. Where else can people connect with you?
I mean, I tried to make it. I mean, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. We're gonna start making noise on YouTube. So if you want to find us, Movement Formula, we've got the branded URL already. We need to add some fresh content, really. Right. But Instagram as well. But all of them are at I am Andy Griffith. As far as like finding me personally, I am Andy Griffith. For some weird reason, Andy Griffith was taken. I don't know why. But had the I am in front of it. I tried to buy the domain. They wanted $2,000. I was not ready to drop $2,000 on it.
I
was not ready.
My last name cool.com is taken, and I reached out to the guy because I wanted to buy it. Guess how much?
50, 100
million.
Oh God, Lee. Well, It's a cool domain name, man.
It's just sitting there. It's just sitting there doing nothing.
Right. And mine is too. There's not even like stuff about the actor. Just I tried to barter. It didn't work very well.
No.
How about this? How about but it's digital real estate. Here's a gold nugget, completely unrelated. If you have children and you're listening to this, buy the .com in their domain right now if it's available. They will thank you later. Buy the .com in their domain right now. Digital real estate. Sorry.
I love it.
Well, it won't be around in 10 years, right? If you got kids and their name's available, buy that thing.
Yeah. All right, Andy, I super appreciate this was well worth of the wait, and definitely appreciate you joining us today. It's been a blast, and looking forward to seeing where a movement formula goes and your future success for sure.
I mean, guys, it's been an honor being here. Thank you for letting me come. I know we had a few pushes, and I'm honored to be here. And thank you so much. It's been just a pleasure. I love this stuff.
All right.
Thanks, Andy. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, Ron, another fella from the hospitality industry,
Right.
showing people that you can really, truly take care of your people, your tribe, your clients. However, when you show up in that service mindset, like it's incredible. So 2 takeaways. I assume you have 1 or 2.
Yes. All right. I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again because he said it, so it must be right. Surround yourself with people that can do things you can't do. Let them do them, and then your business will explode. There's so many times people will hire somebody and then say, you can only do it this way. Even though, or even worse, they come in, they fix whatever it is that you've done, right? We've been there, Corey, right? They hire you because you are going to do something different. You do something different, you get them to where they want to go. Then they're like, okay, now conform to do it how I want you to do it. But that's what got you to where you were. So I don't want to do that, right? So surround yourself with the right people that understand your vision, that can do things that you can't do. So you guys all complement each other and you guys all take off. So that's one. The other, success leaves clues. So if someone's successful, but you have to limit the noise. So now there's another one. Limit the noise. Understand who it is you want to follow, who you want to learn from, and look at their trail, because success will leave clues along the way.
Absolutely. And don't be remiss if we didn't repeat this part, but sell first, then build, right? Get paid to build your course. Get paid to do the hard work of doing all the things that you want to do in regards to how you serve your people. So sell first, then build. And then, a final tip, because that was a little piece of gold that Andy dropped. And that's, if you have a kid, buy their domain. The digital real estate, their name won't always be there. So head on over and grab that and be ready to pay the renewal every year. So anyway, but if you're watching this live in the Facebook group, then you're awesome. We love you. If you're not in the Facebook group, or you're listening to this on the iTunes or anywhere on the podcast, well, head on over to the Facebook group. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Head on over facebook.com/groups/profits with, and we will see you there.
Bye, guys.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you had as much fun as I did. And you know what? If you're not already a member of our Facebook group, what are you waiting for? Head on over facebook.com/groups/profits with.
Guys, we are super excited to have you be a part of our community and help you get more visible, get more traffic, and get more sales.
That's right, Ron. And every time someone is in our group, we get to share all the tips, the tricks, and everything that you can get profits with, from your summits, your challenges, your workshops, your podcasts, your vodcasts, and so much more.
Guys, thanks for being the best part of the Hindisght Hackers community.